So if you were to look at the creation story found in Genesis, what we actually find is that God created light way before he created the sun, the moon, and the stars. Now that blows our mind because it's like, how can we somehow process the resource of light without the construct that gives us light, which is the sun? We can't process that, but it's actually what happened. God created light before he created the sun. It was almost as if God created the resource, the light, but then created a construct that kind of reduced the light so it was beneficial. In fact, without time, without a 24-hour day cycle, without all that, we wouldn't know what a day is. We wouldn't know what a week is. We wouldn't know what a month is. We wouldn't know what a year is. We wouldn't be able to really build our lives accordingly. As farmers and people that had to work the ground, we would have had no way of knowing how we can use today to benefit tomorrow. And as a farmer, you have to do that. You literally had to use today to benefit tomorrow. You had to sow seed today, knowing within a certain amount of time you were going to see a harvest. It literally would not work. So you have this massive resource that's almost not fully beneficial without a construct that somewhat limits it, but it allows us to use it. It allows it to be beneficial. So we literally would not be able to know when to sleep, when to eat, when to embrace, and when to stop embracing if we didn't have the construct of time. We need time. So God made the resource and then made the construct because we needed both. Now you may ask yourself, well, which one is true? What is truth here? Is it the original intent and resource? Is it the original creation? Or is it the construct? Well, I think the answer is both. Because there's no construct, there's no time without light, without the initial day one let there be light resource. But at the same time, we can't really use it to our benefit without the construct. You see, in life, there are two things that are true in just about everything. There's the initial a resource of love and romantic love. And then there's the construct of marriage. And then there's, all of the way that people decide to love each other. But then there's the construct that limits it, that says we should keep that to between a man and a woman in marriage. And a lot of people want to start to change constructs because they say they're outdated. But here's the thing. If we start to live in a world where the constructs can change, the very concepts that God created of time and they create structure for us, if we start to change them, then we start to live in a world that says whatever you are using today to benefit tomorrow, whatever you are using today to situate yourself so you know tomorrow will happen and you know tomorrow will be at least a continuation of what you're doing today. If we start to create a world where all that will change, we completely wipe out our foundation, because the only reason that people would go and commit to anything is because they believe that aspects of the constructs will stay the same. The only reason you put your money down in a bank is because you believe the rules are going to stay the same and your money's going to be there. You would never, ever put your money in the bank if you did not feel like you were somehow bettering tomorrow, because they had provided a construct and it was going to stay the same. People would never get married if they thought that there weren't certain aspects of that person that were going to stay the same. They had to stay the same. If we thought that this person literally could change, even in the depths of who they are, in the most important areas, we would never get married. In fact, we get married knowing some parts of this person are going to change. We hope it's good change and growth and maturity on our end, but we know some things are going to change. But we do so because we believe that the most important parts about this person are going to remain the same. What would you do if you thought the way that you go from your house to Publix or Target was somehow going to change every single day? That stop signs would suddenly not mean stop anymore, and the green light would suddenly not mean go anymore. If these constructs began to change, we would watch our civilization fall apart. And I'm not trying to be dramatic, but think about it. It's not that one or two construct changes. It's that we've created a world where our constructs can change. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Because then we start to question everything And it does become the Pandora's box where there's no way to stop it, because then now you have to say, well, who gets to decide that constructs change, and why should they change, and how long should they change, or how long should they take to change, and what should happen to people who don't believe they should change? You see, the truth is there's got to be aspects of our lives that stay the same, aspects of society that stay the same. There has to. And we can have a conversation about, okay, but how do we make them better? We can do that, but we'll never do it by hating the construct, and we'll never do it by hating the people who think the construct should stay the same. We have to recognize the value in that. Because forget about our lives and our generation, but what about our kids? What kind of world would we live in if we tell them, hey, there's no such thing as definitions because anything we tried to define could change? And we have no system to describe how these definitions should and could change. You see, the initial resource is beautiful, but we need the constructs to make it beneficial. We need the construct of marriage to stay the same, because if not, it's not beneficial for anyone. We can't use love for our benefit. We need certain rules of engagement with the banks to stay the same. We need stop signs and all this stuff to stay the same. We need the construct of truth to stay the same. As people try to attack it and say, hey, there's no such thing as absolute truth. Yes, there is. There has to be. Because if not, we can't use today to benefit tomorrow. If there was no time, how would a farmer ever survive? If there was no construct of time? Well, if there's no construct of just simple truth, of right and wrong, our society won't survive. There are people out there that want to see every single construct come down. Every single one. We have to recognize, man, we need these constructs. If not, we will not survive.